Study Guide, Give Up Meditation, Get Enlightenment. This study guide provides a comprehensive overview of the spiritual philosophy outlined in the writings of Sri Bhagavath. It explores the paradoxical nature of enlightenment, the mechanics of the human mind, and the distinction between effort-based practices and the natural state of liberation. Short answer quiz instructions. Answer the following questions in 2 to 3 sentences based on the provided text. 1. According to the text, why did Astavakra Maharishi categorize meditation as a form of bondage? 2. Explain the relationship between the demand for pleasure and the experience of sorrow. 3. What is the fundamental difference between the mental states of Manolaya and Manonasa? 4. How does the text describe the I consciousness in relation to our thoughts and experiences? 5. What role did utter desperation play in the enlightenment of Gautama Buddha according to this perspective? 6. Define discriminatory vision and explain why it is associated with ignorance. 7. Describe the liquid state of mind and how it differs from a frozen state. 8. What is the sixth sense, as defined in the spiritual science section of the text? 9. Why is the instruction Summa Iru, do nothing, considered an intellectual clarity rather than a physical technique? 10. Explain the concept of Maypurul, the supreme truth, and where it is located. Answer Key 1. Astavakra Maharishi's view. He argued that practicing meditation and seeking samadhi trance are bondages because they represent a frozen state of mind. Enlightenment is a natural state that meditation, which is often a calculated effort, can actually obstruct. 2. Pleasure and sorrow. Sorrow is caused by a contradiction between reality and our desires. Since every desire is rooted in a demand for pleasure, this demand inevitably leads to conflict when it is not met. Therefore, the urge to find a sorrow-free state is itself a modified continuation of the demand for pleasure that perpetuates the cycle of misery. 3. Manolaya versus Manonasa. Manolaya is the integration or freezing of the mind with an experience or object, including spiritual trances and occult powers. Manonasa is the destruction or closure of the effort-driven mind, representing a natural liquid state that is free from the grip of the I consciousness. 4. The shadow of I. The I consciousness is not a permanent entity, but a shadow or a total bundle created by individual experiences and thoughts. It arises through Manolaya, integration, meaning there is no permanent thinker or experiencer, only the temporary appearance of one during the process of thinking or feeling. 5. Buddha's enlightenment. Buddha attained enlightenment only after he failed in all his strenuous meditational practices and penances, leading to a state of total dejection. When he stopped searching desperately and sat idle, his mind's search grounded to a halt, allowing a different, desireless dimension of the mind to function. 6. Discriminatory vision. This is the third vision, where the mind divides experiences into wanted and unwanted based on personal likes, dislikes, and possessiveness. It is considered the state of ignorance because it projects personal bias onto reality, leading to fear, jealousy, and suffering. 7. Liquid versus frozen state. A liquid mind, the natural state, takes the shape of its current experience, the vessel, but releases that shape immediately when the situation changes. A frozen state meditation or intense attachment retains its shape even after the necessity has passed, requiring time and effort to melt back into its natural, free-flowing condition. The sixth sense. Beyond the 5 physical senses, the sixth sense is described as a subconscious sensory organ that feels and recognizes mental experiences such as pleasure, sorrow, anger, and fear. It is the faculty through which we perceive the internal discretionary movements of the mind. 9. Summa Iru. Do nothing is not a physical action to be executed, as any attempt to do nothing is still a form of doing. Instead, it is an intellectual clarity where one understands the total inability of personal effort to solve psychological problems, causing the mind's striving to naturally cease. 10. Maypurul. Maypurul is the core, inert feeling at the center of every individual that is eternal, immortal, and common to all. It is described as being here and now, representing the omnipresent godliness that exists beyond the temporary shadows of the I and you consciousness. Essay Questions 1. The Paradox of Effort. Analyze the argument that spiritual practices, such as meditation and penance, are obstacles to enlightenment. Use the examples of Buddha and J. Krishnamurti to support your discussion. 2. The architecture of perception. Compare and contrast the 3 types of visions: sensory, mental, and discriminatory. How does shifting from the third vision back to the first change an individual's experience of the world? 3. The illusion of the self. Discuss the concept that the I consciousness is a temporary shadow created by Manalaya. What are the implications of this view for the pursuit of psychological perfection? 4. Scientific spirituality. Sri Bhagavath defines the second domain of religion as a science. Examine how he uses concepts like Doppler effect, gravity, and liquid versus solid states to strip spiritual truths of their traditional religious and imaginary coverings. 5. Surrender and salvation. Explore the relationship between surrender to God and the state of mananasa. How does the act of giving up responsibility lead to the liquid state of mind described in the text? Glossary of key terms. Term definition: Atma, the soul or pure being, the underlying cause for the experiencer in the waking state, which cannot be directly known through the senses or mind. Discriminatory vision. The third layer of perception characterized by likes, dislikes, and the division of experiences into wanted and unwanted. Enlightenment. Not a higher intelligence, but the sincere acceptance of one's ignorance and the intellectual clarity that psychological effort is futile. I consciousness, a temporary entity or shadow created by the integration of thoughts and experiences. It has no permanent existence. Manalaya, the integration or joining of the mind with an object or experience, a frozen or artificial state of mind that includes meditation and trances. Mananasa, the no-mind or liquid state, the natural effort-free condition of the mind where it is free from the grip of Manalaya. Maya, the doctrine of illusion, specifically our thoughts, imaginations, and the shadow of the I that conceal the true nature of the soul. Maypurul, the supreme truth or godliness, the core, inert, and eternal feeling centered within every human being. Nirvana, Nibbana, a state of liberation characterized by the desireless functioning of the mind, often referred to as Buddhahood. Samadhi, a state of trance or the shutdown of the mind. According to the text, this is still a form of Manalaya and not true liberation. Sensory vision, the first innocent stage of perception where the senses act like a mirror, reflecting reality without naming it or attaching likes, dislikes. Suma Iru, a Tamil expression meaning do nothing, refers to the cessation of psychological effort through the understanding of its inadequacy.